be here for you. Because peace of mind should last throughout your entire journey.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DN Mariana, WVLQ Port St. John, powered by Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Lights, camera, action.
It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Do you know who I am?
Live and local inside the J. Michaels studio.
People know me.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
You know, when that house guest comes over and he just won't leave? Brian Haddad sitting in again for Coach Hale today on the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest Florida. Coach Hale has some family matters he had to attend to. Can be okay, but y'all just keep him in your thoughts and prayers. But I'm going to hold down the fort today, and I have the great fortune of having two great co-hosts here on a Thursday. Jeremy Pridgeon. Jeremy, how are we doing?
Doing well, Brian. Good to see you today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And Tommy Santamont, how are you?
I am doing great. It's kind of a ride out here on the beach. It used to be a close ride, but now it's a little bit longer.
Yes, it is.
We made it. There's a little fog in Lynn Haven when I left this morning, but other than that, it was good.
You got to be a little careful around the entrance to the Navy base there. People make some wild moves around there.
I'm telling you, you're right there.
No, absolutely. Well, speaking of wild moves and driving, ESPN Northwest Florida presents the Race to Daytona, and that's going to end here tomorrow, folks. So make sure you listen to this show. I mean, why would you leave this show? Other than I'm on again. But stay listening to this show at 7:45 today for the code word of the day. Now, when you hear that code word, you're going to text that code word. Don't call. John's got enough to do, but text that code word in to 850-215-6290. That is 215-6290. Then listen again this afternoon to David and the Afternoon Underdogs at 4:45. If they announce your name, you got to call in, and your qualifying time will be how fast it takes you to call from the moment you've heard your name. I believe 4 seconds is the current leader. Whoa. So you need to be ready, listening for your name at 4:45. Then you call in to the number here, and however long it takes will be your qualifying time. The fastest qualifying time through tomorrow is going to get 2 incredible grandstand tickets to the Daytona 500. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Also, any name announced will automatically win a prize pack that includes tickets to Swampy Jack's, a Buffalo Rock 12-pack, and a sweet NFL ESPN Northwest Florida. It's one of those mornings, folks. Swag bag. So make sure you're listening 7:45 today for the word to text in. Well, let's start with a little bit of local stuff, and then I definitely want to pick Tommy's brain a little bit about this time of year, because this is busy for athletic directors and coaches, because we got a lot of winter sports coming to a close. We got a lot of spring sports starting, and people are earning their money over these weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, let's start with the high school soccer men's regional quarterfinals. We had a lot of area teams involved. Arnold, number 1 team in the 5A rankings in the state, undefeated with 2 ties. They get the better of St. Augustine. St. Augustine was kind of a surprise team. Came through their district with a losing record, but qualified based on that. They beat St. Augustine 2-0. So congrats to Arnold. Beachside got the better of South Walton. Now they tied 1-1 through regular time and then through the extra time, but went to penalty kicks, and Beachside got the win. So tough way for South Walton to go down, but congrats on an excellent season. St. John's Country Day got past Port St. Joe 1-0, or nil, if you will. Nil. And then Bishop Kenny, the really strong team over in Jacksonville. Bay Tornadoes made the trip over to Jacksonville, came up a little short to Bishop Kenny 4-1, but congrats to Bay for making it on to the regional quarters. And then Niceville got past Ponte Vedra 1-0. On high school basketball, I'm assuming this is boys too. It didn't actually give the gender, but you know, that's what I do. I'm going to get in trouble for assuming this is men. So go on and text that in, folks. Let John deal with that one. High school basketball district semifinals. Bay beats Walton 59-34.
That was the boys.
That was the boys. All right, excellent. Yeah, just come in and help me here before I step in it. South Walton, 63. West Florida, 58. Boys?
Yep.
Outstanding. Very good. Rutherford, 73. North Bay Haven, 56. Little area battle there. Congrats to the Rams. Bluntstown got past Cottondale, or as Glenn Manley says, Catondale, 38-19.
Wow.
It was okay. I can't read my own writing. I'm turning into Coach Hale. Franklin got past Osceola Christian, 67-39, and Bozeman got past Sneads, 57-49 in overtime. So congrats to everybody who's moving on in the district semis. District finals coming up here soon. JUCO basketball, the women, Gulf Coast gets past Northwest Florida, 95-91. High scoring game. And then Chipola, well, they're a good ball team, 88, Tallahassee 40.
Wow.
For the men, Northwest Florida got a little revenge and got the better of Gulf Coast, but it took them overtime to do so. 77-69, beating Gulf Coast. And then Chipola completed the sweep over Tallahassee, 82-57. So an exciting time. JUCO's going. Of course, they're going to get softball and baseball rocking here. They've already played some. High school, a lot of spring sports getting going.
Well,
A lot of winter sports coming.
The
go ahead.
The pairings for the girls
Excellent.
playoffs.
Yes, give me those.
Were announced, and Rutherford Beachside. I think that one takes place. Let's see, what is? Yeah, it takes place tonight.
Okay.
So Rutherford's at home, and let's see, that's Class 4A.
Correct.
I was going to see if there were other. So they were showing online local. Fort Walton playing BTW over there in the western part of our area.
Okay.
In 6A, Crestview and Pace seem to be the ones kind of the closest local teams. But go down to Class A, see when they get started. You've got Ponce de Leon and Poplar Springs tonight. Chipley and Jay, Graceville, Liberty County, Port St. Joe, Osceola Christian. All kind of local battles there. So we've got a few girls teams that are getting ready to tip it off and make a run into the
Absolutely. Good luck to all our local basketball teams.
And the Arnold ladies, I think, are still playing in the girls soccer on that side.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on
Green
on the
Cove
women. I want to say
Springs out of Clay.
I want to say they play this weekend, maybe, or maybe it's I can't remember. But
and they've done well, so they won round 1 and advanced.
Unfortunately, I'm a little slave to whatever gets posted in the local media, and they do a pretty good job of results, but looking ahead sometimes can be tough. Well, I do want to ask you this. Tommy, of course, longtime county athletic director. Talk a little bit about just how busy this time of year is and how organized and got to get it together. Your athletic directors have to be, your coaches have to be, because there's a lot going on right now.
Well, you always have to consider Florida High School Athletic Association because, they demand a lot of information you have to send in,
right.
And it's got to be correct. And athletic directors try to take care of all that action and, scheduling and getting stadiums, getting playing sites ready. That's always an important part. Security now, as you know, is a big part. And nowadays you have to have a uniformed police officer available on site. But, getting eligibility lists, getting the coaches have to get the eligibility list and get all that sent into FHSAA. And it's always this time of the year, it gets kind of hectic because you got track, tennis, golf, as they classified as minor sports in high school. You have all those coming into play, and it just takes time, especially transportation. That's an issue too. You gotta make sure you got buses and they're there on time, and everybody's got the right communications with that, because nothing's worse than kids waiting outside and the bus never shows up, and you have to call someone and find out, what's the problem, and you find out that, whoa, we forgot to tell them we're supposed to be traveling today. But anyway, things like that is, and nowadays, I know through our state association, FIAAA, they provide checklists to the athletic directors, and you can just take that checklist and go right down it. And for the athletic directors out there that's not involved, all the schools are members of FIAAA since they pay their dues to Florida High School. then they become members of FIAAA. And every year there's a state conference FIAAA provides. It's usually 1st of May. And it's, for athletic directors, principals out there, you should require your athletic directors to go to this conference because all the Florida high school athletic staff is there, and they go over all the rules, regulations, all the upcoming new rules and regulations, and it's really a great information gathering time. So it's important that athletic directors get up there. It's an outstanding conference.
Tommy, I know you just heard some of these matchups. I mean, a lot of times travel's involved in those things, and that's logistics. And, I do think the home field makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
But the biggest postseason game, I think, that I can remember in Bay County that you would have had to have been involved in actually was when Bay and Rutherford played back through. And you got a state semi, right there, Tommy Oliver.
Yeah, that was quite I know what you're talking about because I think we had more police officers there than we had players. But anyway, that you're right. Everything's got to be. And at Tommy Oliver Stadium, we really took a lot of pride in getting that field prepared, and it's always a very nice field. Our guys did a great job in lining it off and getting everything set up and getting all the stuff out there you need to have to run a football game, and then having the security there and then the officials there. All that stuff is involved with it. But you're right, that is really I can very well remember those games where it was exciting and the stadium would be full. I mean, it'd be a lot of that'd be one of our games that other than playing Mosley and playing the in-county schools, it was a full stadium. So, but you're right. That was some epic games out there with Bay and Rutherford. Back when Steve Harden was at Rutherford and Jimmy was over at Bay High School.
Yeah. So. Let me ask you a question you may or may not know the answer to. I'm just curious. When I was at Mississippi State, this is back in the 90s, but when I was there, we pretty much were guaranteed to host a baseball regional because back then there weren't a lot of big stadiums in baseball. Now there are certainly a lot more now, so we actually would get regionals over teams that maybe had a more accomplished record than we would because the NCAA wanted that money.
Sure.
Now I've had a lot of dealings with the FHSA through the year, not nearly as many as you, and some of them have not been terribly pleasant, but I will say they have gotten significantly better, and I do like most of their staff. I really do. Those guys do a good job. Board members, it depends on the year. But my question to you is, do district, regional, do those contests, generally speaking, always get awarded to the team with the better record, or do they take into account the size of the stadium or the logistics or things like that, especially when you get down to some of the smaller schools.
Yeah, in the small schools, sometimes that plays an effect. Just like you say, the more seats you got, the more money you're gonna make. So that does play into it. But a lot of that is predetermined before the season even starts. I mean, they know if you're in a bracket, you're gonna host this year. Next year, you're gonna be visiting. So all that's kind of set up with FHSAA and there's exceptions where, if you were going to host it and you call FHSA and say, look, we have this going on, so could we that rarely happens.
Can go wrong.
But it could go wrong in FHSA. And I'll tell you, a lot of people complain about Florida High School Athletic Association, and I've never complained because I was involved with them, and there were some really great guys, and there were some guys that was kind of short with people, and they're gone now, but in FHSA, your staff, if you don't get along with the coaches will let FHSA, the commissioner, know. I mean, it's going to get back to them. And so they have to kind of be on their P's and Q's about trying to deal with people outside. But FHSA staff, I can't even imagine where we didn't have rules that everybody is supposed to follow. It would be completely chaos because all these counties would be on their own and they'd be developing their rules. You go pay somebody and say, well, this is a rule here, and we didn't know anything about it. But FHSA kind of has standardized athletics in the state of Florida.
And let me say this, because I dealt with them a lot during COVID, obviously, because I was dealing with a lot of high school athletes at that time, and the staff did such a wonderful job of creating multiple different option plans for every sport. Like it was not every sport could work the same. I mean, swimming, you could be outdoors, and, volleyball, you had to be indoors. And, I mean, there were issues. And the board had a lot of spirited discussion. Not all of it I love, but staff did a wonderful, wonderful job of adjusting and creating a plan.
Well, the thing about it now is FHSA, their staff has really grown because the number of schools involved I think it's over 600 schools in the state of Florida involved with athletics. And back in the day, when I first started out, it was Floyd Lay and Miss Brunson. They ran the whole show.
Yeah.
It was a two staff deal down there, and they ran the show because it was authoritarian. They were it's their way or no way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it was. And Miss Brunson, I loved her. I stopped by when I'd go through Gainesville just to see her. She was such a sweetheart, but she was stern, and she went exactly by the rules. You can count on that. If you call Miss Brunson up and she says, "Well, Coach, this is the rule. This is what we're going to go by." And Mr. Lay, just looking at him, I mean, you'd say, "Oh boy, we're in trouble." But
so you got an issue? No, I'm good.
yeah. But it has grown, and the staff is really doing
awesome.
a great job.
No, that's good. Well, we're going to roll straight into a break here. We went long talking about this, but I had a blast talking about that stuff. And good luck to all of our local area schools that are continuing on in the playoffs here, and good luck to all the spring sports coming up. And we'll take your phone calls when we come back at 215-6290. You are listening to the Coach James Hale Show on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida offices are now on the beach. Our doors are always open, and we still love visitors. Come see the new ESPN Northwest Florida radio studio and offices at 204 Suite B Ellen Lane on Panama City Beach. We can't wait to see you. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good Thursday morning. I'm forecasting showers and a few thunderstorms today and tonight. A weather front coming in and stalling. Temperatures in the mid-70s during the day, mid to upper 60s at night. It'll be around 70 Friday with more cloud showers and thunderstorms and some leftover showers on Saturday. We'll keep you updated. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Earthworks of Northwest Florida knows it's a perfect time for you to update your home. Whether it's routine touch-ups or a new look, Earthworks has just what you need. Sand, stone, mulch, and gravel, pickup or delivery. Visit earthworks.com and request a quote. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Love the land you live on. Earthworks of Northwest Florida, 2005 Industrial Drive.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
We don't know what his problem is.
Quit moaning, we're all hurting.
But it's probably hard to pronounce and untreatable.
That don't feel so good.
The Coach James Hale Show is live and local from the J. Michael Studio. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. Despite my best efforts to get us canceled, we are back. Coach James Hale Show on a Thursday morning. Coach Hale attending to a family matter, but Brian Haddad holding down the fort, Jeremy Pridge and Tommy Santamont, Big John in here for you this morning. Let's talk a little bit about some of our sponsors. Went a little long in that first segment. How about J. Michael's Restaurant? Was out there yesterday for Spaghetti Day. Absolutely wonderful time. Just the friendliest staff in the world. And look, if you don't want spaghetti on Wednesdays, you can always get that great seafood, the cold beer that they serve. You need to get out to J. Michael's Restaurant. Blue Sky Express Car Wash. Tell you what, my nose recognizes that there's pollen up, and so does my car. You need to get over to Blue Sky Express Car Wash. Get that car or truck looking better than the day you bought it. It's there on Panama City Beach Parkway, Back Beach Road, right next to Arnold High School and the Home Depot. Blue
and
Sky.
390, they got.
Yeah,
they're
they got
building
one.
390
Is it
now.
open yet?
No, but it's getting close.
Coming on.
Right over there by Sweet Bay University
right.
Academy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Yeah, you people aren't going to have to go over the bridge anymore
right.
to get to Blue Sky. And Dr. Chad Mitchell. Chad was in here with us on Monday. If you ever deal with any kind of injury, you need to use the guy that all the Bay County athletes use, and that is Dr. Chad Mitchell. Well, ESPN Northwest Florida is your destination for college basketball. It's the Auburn Tigers play SEC rivals like Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida. Plus, you've got the biggest games from around the country, not just SEC, but the ACC and beyond. Make sure you listen right here to ESPN Northwest Florida or on the ESPN Northwest Florida app. This Saturday, got a doubleheader, and there's a big one. We're going to talk about it probably a little more at 8 a.m., but Alabama at Auburn. Coverage will start right here on this station at 12:30 p.m. You can listen to Andy Burcham call that game for the Auburn Tigers. And then later that afternoon, Duke at Virginia in a big ACC contest at 2:30. Your home for college basketball. Let me get through a couple of scores from last night, and then I want to pivot into college football because this is the Coach James Hale Show after all. But 3 SEC games last night. Alabama got the better of Florida, 97-69. Jeremy, this team is rocking right now.
Yeah, that trip out to Norman was a wake-up call, and they came back focused. So
and doing it early, like getting on teams in the first half.
yeah, and that was not a contest last night.
Wow.
A game that was a contest, Vanderbilt gets a buzzer beater, I believe, and takes down Tennessee.
Yes.
66-65. Coach Stackhouse didn't even get kicked out this time. I think he leads the league in ejections.
Ejections and texts.
He is a passionate guy. And my Bulldogs, my Mississippi State Bulldogs, got the better of LSU 64-53. It was interesting. I was looking around the records just briefly. There's only one team in the SEC that is under 500 for the year, and that's South Carolina. They're struggling. LSU is right at 500. I want to say Vandy's right at 500. Everybody else got a pretty good record and has a good shot at some postseason play here. So,
Yep, doing
congrats.
well.
Yeah, now we're just going to be beating each other up for the next couple of weeks. Well, let's get back into some college football. Definitely want you guys to take on these. ESPN, again, just listed the top 10 transfer rankings for 2023 because it's such a big part of your football program now. And so I'm going to go 10-1.
Okay.
Excuse me. At number 10, the Oregon Ducks. Now, they had 3 transfers that were in ESPN's rankings. The highest ranked incoming transfer is an offensive lineman, a Johnny Cornelius. But to me, Oregon's biggest thing they did this year in recruiting is got Bo Nix to come back.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yep, I think that continuity in the quarterback position is going to be helpful.
I mean, a lot of people have just kind of adorned Southern Cal to be the school, even though they came up short against Utah. But I don't think you should sleep on Oregon this year.
No. Oregon's perennial power. They show well. Obviously, they had a tough draw coming across the country. Played Georgia game 1, but went
With
back.
a new coach.
Yeah, so don't count out the Ducks.
Absolutely.
They got some good recruits too.
Yeah, they
recruits
did.
wise, they just high school kids.
Look out for Oregon. Well, at number 9, let's come back into the SEC. LSU. Us Bama fans didn't need LSU to get any better. LSU Tigers, they got 4 transfers that are in the ESPN rankings, with their top one being linebacker Omar Spates, who is at number 16. Another key. This is going to be one of the few teams in the West that has a returning starting quarterback. And that's going to be a big deal for LSU.
That may be the difference maker in the West, which is going to be brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, as much as it pained me to say, I think the team to maybe watch out for, because last year almost no quarterbacks made it through the season unscathed, to where their backup didn't have to take a meaningful snap.
Right.
Ole Miss has 3 quality quarterbacks in that room, 2 with a ton of experience. Watch out for them. As much as that pains me, because I love saying the only way Ole Miss can go to Atlanta is to play in Georgia Tech. But this may be the year. I mean, their schedule's tough. They're in the West, but they got a lot of skill guys back. They got 3 quarterbacks in that room that are all solid. Look out.
Yep.
Number 8, Michigan Eddie, the Michigan Wolverines. 4 transfers coming in the ESPN rankings, led by linebacker Ernest Hausman, number 22. Michigan is a team that has one of the top 10 returning productions from last year. A lot of guys coming back and skill position guys. What do y'all think? Is Michigan going to go 3 years in a row over Ohio State here? I mean, Ohio State's replacing a quarterback, but certainly a lot of talent there in Columbus.
I think they got a chance. I think they will. I mean, that game is like, some of these other real rivalry games. You never know who's going to show up and who's going to play, but I think they've got a great chance to do it.
Tommy or Jeremy, did you happen to catch Blake Corum? And look, way too much was made out of this. You would expect this, but Michigan's running back says, we're coming back. All of this, we're going to win the national championship, and everybody's we guaranteed it. What would you expect the guy to say?
Yeah.
We got no chance.
Right. It's not having them come up short.
But how many of those get printed out and put on bulletin boards in Columbus?
Every single one of them. Yeah. If you say it, better be ready to back it up.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and he's a tough one. I mean, he didn't even get to play there in the playoffs due to an injury. So. Number 7, the Auburn Tigers. I think this is a factor more of they needed to get bodies in there because they only have 1 transfer in the ESPN rankings. That's offensive lineman Gunnar Britton, but he's a good one. But they needed bodies. They need depth. And what Hugh Freeze has done.
Line.
Right, absolutely. What Hugh Freeze has done in a very short amount of time has been very good because he had to overhaul everything, coaching staff, recruiting, transfers. So good job there by Hugh Freeze and Auburn. At number 6, we talked about a minute ago, Ole Miss. The Ole Miss Rebels, they ended up with 3, as I choke on this. It's hard trying to talk about positive Ole Miss news. They had 3 transfers in the ESPN rankings. Leading the way was quarterback Spencer Sanders, who was number 10, who, quite frankly, I would have enjoyed seeing in Tuscaloosa, but not to be. Lane Kiffin, of course, dubbed himself the Portal King last year, and looks like he's back at it again. Some people just know how to work that portal, and Lane's one of them.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Great job by Kiffin for kind of seeing this and moving toward it. It really has, as you mentioned at the start of this little segment, changed the dynamic of how teams are built. And now you've got a little bit of a track record for guys that you don't have when they're just coming out of high school.
Absolutely. At number 5, USC Trojans. Of course, they had a ton last year. Not as many this year, 3 in the rankings, but number 6 overall, wide receiver Dorian Singer going to step in and take some of the load from a departing Jordan Addison. This is USC's year to get it done, I think. If they come up short again, look, the long knives aren't going to be out, but the murmuring's going to start out there because Lincoln Riley came in with a lot of hype. Look, they were already getting 2nd or 3rd in the Pac-12 without him, so they need to get the job done. Number 4, Oklahoma. I thought they had a wonderful transfer group. 5 in the ESPN rankings. Number 3, linebacker Dason McCullough from Indiana being their top one. And Brent Venables needed it because a very lackluster first season in Norman.
Yeah, didn't end well with the bowl season. That kept a kind of sour taste in the mouth in Norman, for sure, with the loss to the Noles.
Absolutely. We're going to save the top 3 for the next segment because I want to talk about some more of our wonderful, wonderful sponsors here on the Coach James Hale Show. Let's start by talking about Rudy's Barbecue. Great Texas barbecue, all the Texas sides, great desserts. But as Coach Hale always talks about, that turkey, there's something about it. Tommy, you know. Jeremy, you know.
Yeah, I like the turkey out there. Do a great job.
It is good stuff. And don't forget, guys, you're listening to us right now. You're driving out on the beach. Stop in there. They've got breakfast tacos going right now, 7 to 10. Get out and see Ethan. Make fun of Texas A&M while you're there, but hey, go see them at Rudy's Barbecue. Chuck Tucker at South Oak Title and Closing. You don't want any issues when you're dealing with your real estate plans. That's why all the top realtors in the area, they use Chuck Tucker. No problems, professional service. You need to use Chuck Tucker with South Oak Title and Closing. And don't forget Dr. John Ward. He was in here with us yesterday talking the Gators, much to Tommy's chagrin. But we talked to him. But, hey, look, we live in paradise, but there's no reason to become a skin cancer statistic. Just 5 minutes could help save your life, And if you're listening to us right now, Dr. Ward has an office near you. Dermatology specialists, get out there and see them. Don't become a statistic. 1 in 5 will develop skin cancer in their life. It doesn't need to be you. When we get back, we're going to finish up with the top transfers, and we're going to talk a little more college football, maybe the draft. We might get into a whole bunch of other fun stuff here. We might even take your phone calls on the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your exclusive radio home for Super Bowl 57. You gotta fight!
Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
This Sunday.
Got one more.
Listen to Super Bowl 57 in a rich audio experience you can only get on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Coverage starts at 1, kickoff 5:30 p.m.
Super Bowl 57 is sponsored by Dave & Buster's, Panama City Toyota, Instant Replay Sports Cards, and ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hi folks, I'm Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Love is in the air at Tracy's Fine Jewelry, and what better way to celebrate love than with a beautiful piece of jewelry. Our Valentine collection combines the most popular trends and top sellers with the largest selection at the best prices. From exquisite fine jewelry to our most trendy and affordable sterling silver pieces, we're sure to have the perfect gift to melt her heart. Folks have trusted us for 50 years to make their Valentine sparkle. This year, make it sparkle even more with a gift from Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Sykes Concrete has been in business in this area since 1947, and 3 generations later, they're still going strong. See Sykes Concrete for dirt, sand, rock, and concrete. They can handle any size job from the smallest to the largest. Sykes Concrete pays CDL truck drivers some of the highest wages in Bay County, making $50,000 to $75,000 a year, including holiday and vacation pay, plus health insurance. See Hugh Sykes at Sykes Concrete, 8030 Highway 77 on the right, just north of Southport Elementary School.
If you got more A's on your truck than you did in high school, you might be a Bama fan. Now back to the Coach James Hale Show on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
I love that song. But anyway, we're back here on the Coach James Hale Show on a Thursday. Brian Haddad sitting in. Jeremy and Tommy joining us here. And don't forget, folks, ESPN Northwest Florida presents Super Bowl 57. Chiefs versus the Eagles. Fighting Jalen Hurts, trying to take the Super Bowl title away from Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs. That game will, of course, be this Sunday, February the 12th. Oh, my goodness. Coverage starts right here at 1 p.m. Kickoff is not until 5:30 p.m.
1 p.m. Oh.
It is quite an event, but you can listen to the game right here on ESPN. Northwest Florida coverage of the big game, sponsored by Dave & Buster's, Panama City Toyota, and Instant Replay Sports Cards. All right, let's get back into the transfer. We were down to the top 3, so let's go back out west, and let's talk about the UCLA Bruins. Coach Chip Kelly had 3 of ESPN's top-ranked transfers, including wide receiver J. Michael Sturdivant. That sounds like a hedge fund guy instead of a wide receiver. But, hey, you know, I mean, look, they're losing their quarterback, who they've had for a while, and that's going to be a big deal in Chip Kelly's offense, but they've really brought in good recruits, and they're just augmenting those recruiting classes with transfers. And, you know, a lot of people scoffed at Chip Kelly getting that job. He's put together a pretty good program at UCLA.
You have to give him credit, and for the few, and there really are few UCLA fans, you have to like your position. Everybody focuses on Southern Cal right now because that's the hot commodity, sure. But you can very stealthily own Los Angeles and compete in the Pac-12 because you've got Chip Kelly, and you're still dealing with Southern California where it's filthy rich in talent. You know, I mean, so sneaky Bruins.
Yeah.
Watch for them.
Oh, I think so.
California is a quarterback state. Boy, they always have them. I don't know what it is, but they have them out there.
Well, we talked about that last year. So coming into the season, most everybody had Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson coming in. Clemson had a quarterback from South Carolina starting. Alabama had a quarterback from Southern California, excuse me. Southern California started. Ohio State had a quarterback from Southern California started. And Georgia had just moved on from a quarterback from Southern California.
Right.
Started. I mean, it's if those guys can keep a few of them at home.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of that is the development of how the West Coast offenses are still dominant with kids getting reps and being able to throw. And here it's still a ground game in the high school and power. And so if you're going to get a prolific passer, you're not going to find many of them in the Southeast.
Right. A lot more dual threat guys in the South.
If you have a great offensive line and a great quarterback, offensively you can do some damage to some people and receivers too.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it doesn't matter how good you throw the ball if you're running for your life all day or if you're looking up at the stars. That's right. Poor Joe Burrow's learning that too. All right, well, the number 2 and number 1 really aren't any surprise. It's just a matter of which one's going to be ranked where. And ESPN, darn them, they've got Florida State ranked number 2. I'm not sure I agree. I understand why they've done it. It's a toss-up. But Florida State, Mike Norvell continues to kill it in the transfer portal. 5 of the ESPN-ranked transfers coming to Tallahassee, including number 8, cornerback, Ventrell Cypress from Virginia. That was a big one. Again, like we've talked about, I still think the biggest news for Florida State are the guys coming back. Jordan Travis coming back. Jared Verse coming back is huge. And that's why I think Florida State led the country in returning production. Now you augment that with 5 big transfers. Tommy, that's why there is a lot of hype around FSU maybe jumping up into that playoff mix.
Yeah, we talked about it off air a while ago, but when you look at FSU's got to play. They got to play Clemson at Clemson. They got to play Miami in Tallahassee, but then they've got Florida and LSU. And out of those 4 teams, I told you, I personally think they're going to lose 2 of them. But there's a big hype around. They're gonna go to the playoffs. I can't. It's hard for me to see where they've been and where they could be. That's what gets me over the years. They've just not done that well lately.
Well, Norvell had as many SEC wins as Jimbo Fisher last year. So, but it does feel like Florida State is getting ready to go. We're going to make the investment here with Norvell and finally move through a series of coaches after Bowden to go, okay, this is the heir apparent for the future. It took Alabama a long time after Bryant, and Stallings emerged, then after Stallings to Saban, and it feels like that is finally happening in Tallahassee.
And FSU, Michael Alford, their new athletic director, he's big time in athletic, especially football. So you saw what he did with the Sauer, and we'll talk about it later with Norvell, but he's big into increasing. And now what I'm seeing now from FSU, their recruits, they getting those 4 and 5 stars to come and visit them now. Once you get them to visit, Norvell, they do such a great job of when they get people there, how they treat them and how they react with them. They do really a good job with that.
We can talk about this more in the next segment because we're going to go into FSU. But the thing that can't be overlooked about Alford is they have now in the last 2 years made up their COVID deficiency in that program. They had like a $7.5 million, then $10 million this year. And that does not count this current football season that they just had, where obviously the numbers are going to be way up.
Sure.
So not only has he put a lot of investment in, but he's run a very tight ship and a good business model for FSU.
That's right.
Well, that leaves number 1, Neon Dion, prime time. Colorado Buffaloes. I mean, it makes sense, obviously. His son's going to follow him out there, star quarterback. Travis Hunter, who was the number 1 transfer, certainly was going to follow him from Jackson State out there to Colorado. But they had 4 transfers in the rankings with a couple of the absolute big ones, including number 1 Travis Hunter. So it's going to be, what do you guys see out of Colorado this year? They can't do any worse. That's the nice thing for them. I think they were 1-11 this year, but this is another level of football for these guys and for Coach. And what's a success? Is it making a bowl game? Is it less than that? Is it more than that? What's a success for Colorado this year?
Well, the first game is so intriguing because it's at TCU coming off of that playoff, and can they pull that off? I don't think so.
I don't know.
But
A lot of new players.
But
for TCU.
if you come in when everyone's talking about TCU and you're able to somehow pull that one off, well, the sky's the limit. But you look at the rest of their schedule. You've got the annual game with Colorado State, and after that you get your Pac-12 games. Nebraska is the other non-conference. If you can get two of those, if you can get Nebraska and Colorado State, I think that's a great start. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pressure on that Colorado-Nebraska game, old, Big 8 foes.
Oh, yeah, that was a big game. Bill McCartney turned that into a big deal when
mm-hmm.
he got to Colorado.
Right. So those first three, we'll know something. You got to get the Colorado State game. I mean, I think you just have to beat your rival.
Yeah.
And then you really need to sneak one of those others, mm-hmm. TCU or Nebraska.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the players, the competition they played last year at Jackson State is nothing like what they're going to play now.
Sure.
It's going to be an upgrade, and the kids are going against. So it'll be interesting to see how, for instance, Travis Hunter, how he's going to do when he gets in a little bit better competition. I know he's a great player. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But I've heard some of them say 9-3. I just
can't see.
But,
big turnaround.
Yeah, that's a big turnaround. But Deion, the name Deion Sanders, especially your defensive back, that's the 5 stars. That's where they're going to gravitate to. They want to go and see how it goes. But what if Colorado has a losing season this year? What if? What's going to happen then? Is he going to bust the big bubble or
he gets a mulligan?
Yeah,
he
will this year for sure. Yeah. No doubt.
I think how he handles it will be key too. I mean, if he's kind of pitching a fit and throwing everybody under the bus, like that. I mean, to me, if they're 5-7, that's a good year for them. 6-6, making a bowl would be huge for them.
If he wins 2 games, he's improved his last year.
Absolutely, yeah. By week 2, he can have it doubled last year. That's why I say they don't have very far to come up.
I think Deion picked a good school to go to, and I'm sure coaches like that. And even in high school, you see coaches that before they take a job, they look. I can give you a great example. Steve Harden, when he went to Rutherford, he knew what was there. He knew the potential was there, and I said, Steve, why would you leave Lincoln and Tallahassee and go to Rutherford? He said, I like the challenge of going there and making it a winner, and that's what he was. I mean, he was very competitive. But the same way in college football, before they take a job, I mean, you'd be stupid not to look into what you're getting into.
Oh, absolutely.
So I
buy
think
low, sell high.
Yeah,
I don't know how far down this road I really want to go, but I'm interested in y'all's take on this. So I'm going to step in it just a little bit. I think one of the things that's not talked about enough when it comes to Colorado is, look, times have changed. And the things that young people are into and have more access to, there are things that are legal in Colorado that aren't maybe in other areas. And a lot of
more permissive environment.
Yeah, and I think that plays a big role in the fact of recruiting and talking to some of these players that there aren't going to be. Now, I'm sure they're going to have team rules and things, but look, people always go, why in the world would you go to Boulder, Colorado? It's cold, this, that, or the other. There's a lot of people who spring break in Colorado now for this reason. So I don't think it can be discounted, but I hate even talking about it.
We can crank in there.
Well, if you like to ski, if you like to snow ski, Colorado's a place to be.
There you go.
Great place, but I don't think too many football players are snow skiers because I'm sure the coaches say you stay off the slopes.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, I'll tell you what I like, and that is Paparazzi Gourmet Deli. 3 restaurants in one. The pizza, fantastic. 100-year-old recipes in the deli. And, folks, Coach Hale is not in town. You got a chance at the bakery counter this week. Paradise cake, cheesecake. Oh, they've got wonderful stuff there. Go see Big John, retired New York police officer. Paparazzi Gourmet Deli. You will absolutely love it. Tommy, talk to us a little bit about Buffalo Rock and everything that those guys have done for this area.
Yes, Buffalo Rock was a big supporter of our high schools and all of our schools in our community, but they really have done a really good job with supporting all of our athletic teams in Bay County. And the community-wise, they're always there to help. And that's what's so intriguing about Buffalo Rock Pepsi. They're there for the community, and they're there to help people out. So we really think a lot of them.
Yeah, and think about them for your upcoming Super Bowl party this weekend. Make sure you have Buffalo Rock products. And then Turf Pro Pest Control, you want your yard looking just like that fairway at Bay Point Golf. You need to talk to the fine folks at Turf Pro Pest Control. They will have your yard being the talk of the neighborhood for the good reasons, not like my yard. So make sure you get out and talk to those guys. Now listen, folks, when we come back from this break, this is going to be your chance to win tickets to the Daytona 500. You're going to get the keyword, and you'll be able to text it in coming right out of this break. When we return, Coach James Hale Show, ESPN, Northwest Florida.
My pappy said, son, you're going to drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that hot rod Lincoln.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the Race to Daytona.
Bill Hess, you are on the clock.
4 seconds.
4 seconds. My goodness. Bill, you are on the line with the afternoon underdogs with a qualifying time of 4 seconds.
And freaking tastic. I haven't been to the race yet, but I would love to go.
Play the Race to Daytona on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Thank you.
Good Thursday morning. I'm forecasting showers and a few thunderstorms today and tonight. A weather front coming in and stalling. Temperatures in the mid-70s during the day, mid to upper 60s at night. You'll be around 70 Friday with more cloud showers and thunderstorms and some leftover showers on Saturday. We'll keep you updated. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Love is in the air at Tracy's Fine Jewelry, and do we have a sweetheart of a deal for you? These heart pendants will put a sparkle in her eye. Set her heart on fire with these diamond rings. These stackable rings and bracelets are sure to make her heart melt. Let your love soar to new heights with these angel wing pendant and earring sets. Folks have trusted us for 50 years to make their Valentine's sparkle. This year, make it sparkle even more with a sweetheart of a deal from Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Sykes Concrete has been in business in this area since 1947, and 3 generations later, they're still going strong. See Sykes Concrete for dirt, sand, rock, and concrete. They can handle any size job from the smallest to the largest. Sykes Concrete pays CDL truck drivers some of the highest wages in Bay County, making $50,000 to $75,000 a year, including holiday and vacation pay, plus health insurance. See Hugh Sykes at Sykes Concrete, 8030 Highway 77 on the right, just north of Southport Elementary School.
Now, it's the Coach James Hale Show.
Go nuts.
Live from the J. Michael Studio on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Folks, that is not Thomas Drive. You hear them engines. That means it is time for your keyword to win a chance to go to the Daytona 500. I'm about to give you the word of today. When you hear it, text, do not call. Text it to 850-215-6290, and then make sure you're listening again this afternoon at 4:45 to David and the Afternoon Underdogs. If you hear your name called, you've got to very, very quickly call into the station. How long it takes you to call in will be your qualifying time. Top qualifying time is getting 2 grandstand seats to the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. So your word for today is Speed Week. SPEEDWEEK. Did I spell that right? Ah, that's Mississippi education coming in. Speed Week, folks. Text it in now and listen to the Afternoon Underdogs today at 4:45 for your chance to go to the 500. Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. Woo! FSU Update brought to you every single day on the Coach James Hale Show by Newbies. All the Newbies properties. Mothership, best bands you're going to find. Newbies 2 on the curve. Go see your sporting events down there. And the Booze and Brew. Just make sure you step over Glen Manley there. But that is a wonderful, wonderful place to have gatherings, reunions. John and Charlotte, They do so much for this community, and they love FSU. Well, here's another guy who loves FSU. Tommy, what do you got for us on the Seminoles today?
Well, we'll start with football. One of the big things that come out yesterday is the Norvell, his contract as a head football coach at FSU. He was given a 3-year extension. He's through 2029 under contract, and his salary goes up to about $8.05 million. So that puts him about 10th nationally and number 2 in the ACC, other than Clemson.
You can live on that in Tallahassee, don't you think?
I guess you can make it. Get you a few hamburgers here and there.
There you go.
But anyway, that's Mike Alford. He had already stated several weeks back that they were going to do a new contract with Norville, and they did. And so I think that's a big thing, and it lets recruits know that he's going to be there. So I think that's important also. Also, the spring practice starts March the 6th, football, and their spring game is Saturday, April the 15th in Tallahassee. So if you're interested in going to the spring game, it will be Saturday, April the 15th. And March the 6th, as I said, we'll start this spring practice. So they've been through their winter conditioning drills, their tour of duty, and all that stuff that they're doing now.
Tommy, are they going to have that one on television, or?
I'm sure they will. It'll be on ACC Network for sure, probably. Yeah. So that's channel 81 at my house.
They're trying to do that now just to kind of showcase these things. Yeah. So did they announce the time on the 15th?
I think it's 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I know when a certain coach was there, I went to the spring game, and it's supposed to start at a certain time. It was like an hour and something late. I almost left. It made me so mad. And the music was so loud, you couldn't hardly stand it. That person's no longer at FSU. But anyway, moving into women's softball. This year's softball team's going to be 16 times on national TV, which is good for their PR. February the 9th and 11th opens up their season. They have Lipscomb College from Nashville, Longwood College from Farmdale, Virginia. I'm sure y'all have heard of Longwood College before. And Purdue from West Lafayette, Indiana. So those 3 teams are going to be competing against FSU. And then they go down to Clearwater in that big tournament we talked about earlier. And you got a number of teams down there. That's going to be if you live in that area, that would be
like a preseason College World Series with the talent they have coming in.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Let's just go ahead and see how everybody stacks out. You know?
I'm telling you. And FSU does. They play Oklahoma. They go to Oklahoma and play a 2-game series with Oklahoma this year, which is national champs.
Out there.
Yeah. So they've got a really tough schedule, but they got the kids that you hear when you think of FSU softball, the Mudge kid. Sandercock, the pitcher, Edenfield kid from Sneeds, Michaela Edenfield, all those kids are coming back. And Mac Leonard, she's another good one. But all those kids are back, so they'll have a good team, and as they have in the past. Now going to men's basketball, it's a little different story, just a little bit. Last night, I saw that Syracuse FSU was ahead 35-29 at halftime. I said, well, heck. They got a chance to beat them, but the game ended up 76-67. FSU lost. And if you know anything about basketball, Syracuse went into 2-3 zone, and I didn't see the game, so I don't know if they played the whole game. But
Boeheim been playing that for 45 years.
They've been playing that for a long time. Boeheim, that's his signature. But if you can't hit the 3-pointers, they were 9 of 35 from 3-point range, and they were 17 of 36 from 2-point. I went to the Florida game early in the year, and they can't shoot a lick. I mean, I don't know what the shooters are not there.
Do you think maybe they got a hold of the women's basketball, because the women's game had the men's basketball in the first half? Maybe that's it.
That's what I heard, that thing. But anyway, FSU. They're not doing too good right now. They got Pitt this coming Saturday at 1 o'clock. It's a noon tip-off in Tallahassee, and their record right now is 8-17, 6-8 in ACC. So they're not doing real good. So we'll see how the season.
Let me ask you about that. Coach Hamilton obviously revered in Tallahassee, and absolutely for the right reasons. Wonderful coach. I still think they had a great shot at the national championship in 2020 that COVID got rid of. I really hated that. But Coach Hamilton's getting up there, and, I know he's revered and everything, but this has been an ugly season. It wasn't great last year. Are there any murmurings?
Well, they think he might be in the getting ready to retire. I think he's 72 now.
Yeah.
But,
I don't even like bringing it up. You just wonder if there's any of those talks.
You always from the alumni at FSU they're always complaining about something.
Sure.
But I have heard they need to move on. But Coach Leonard, people don't realize he's really a great guy. I mean, he is a wonderful individual. He's very thoughtful of players. All their players do well academically. So other than just not winning games, and he's won games in the past, he turned the program around. So anyway, we'll have to wait and see how things turn out with that. But now in women's basketball, they're doing a little bit better. They're ranked number 19th in the nation. They're 20-5 right now, 9-3 in the ACC, and they play Miami tonight at 6 o'clock in Miami, and Miami's when FSU and Miami's played in the past, the FSU holds a 49-18 record against Miami, so they've done real well. But and tonight, let's see, Sunday they come back and play Virginia Tech at 1 o'clock. That's in Tallahassee. And last thing, baseball. Looking at baseball, Lee Jarrett, we know, is the new baseball coach there, and he is getting things going. If you want to go over there, February the 11th, that's Saturday, right? Yes, Saturday. It's Fan Day at 1 o'clock at Dick Hauser. If you want to go over there and hang out and see some of the players and see what they're going to be doing over there, then that would be a good time to go.
Is that when they're going to retire Buster Posey's jersey? Or
I don't.
That one or not?
I don't know. It didn't really say that, but I know they're going to. But I don't know if it's going to be the first game or that one. But
and that's impressive because FSU does not retire a lot of jerseys.
No.
I think this will be the fourth, maybe.
Yeah.
So
he was a pretty good player.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think he's got a real claim to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Last year FSU finished 34-25, and they lost that coach. So Link Jarrett from Notre Dame comes in and played at FSU, shortstop, All-American. So he's coming in to take over, and some of the things they're working on, they're really trying to develop their pitching staff, getting the depth there, and probably their best position play area is the catchers. They've got 3 quality catchers, and that's their most depth. So he's trying to turn this thing around and get him going like they have been. I saw a real good thing on DeSantis, that shortstop. It was at FSU, Nander DeSantis, and he was one of their highest recruited players to come to play at FSU from Panama. He played at FSU a couple seasons, didn't do very well, played shortstop, ended up transferring to Missouri. Yeah. And there he had his best season ever. He batted 278, and he started 37 times at Missouri. Now he's come back to FSU.
Oh,
he left Missouri, and the reason he left because the money, and most people don't realize, but when you get a scholarship in baseball, it's mainly not a full scholarship. Very seldom they give full scholarship.
Ron Polk at Mississippi State could work 11.7 scholarships into any question you ever asked him. How's the weather outside today, Coach? Well, with 11.7 scholarships, it's looking pretty sunny. And they're carrying, 25, 26 players? Yeah, it's rough in baseball.
But anyway, he saw Missouri told him that they were not going to help him. His family couldn't out of state, so he went into the portal, and FSU called him, so he could not turn it down. So he's back at FSU.
Yeah, you don't hear that very often.
You're right, and you don't hear, why they take him back because he left. But anyway, he's got potential to be a great player. So anyway, that's it on FSU.
All right. Well, I think we got a call, but we need to carry that one through the break because I think we're up against it here. But we'll take Rob here. I want to give him some time. So we'll take him. We'll let him interrupt the Alabama update as everybody else does, and then Jeremy can get into that. But Right now, we need to talk about some of our sponsors and get to a break. So hang on just for a sec there, Rob. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, the best Mexican restaurant on Panama City Beach. El Rodeo Tequila Happy Hour, great specials. You will absolutely love it. I love going down there on a Sunday, have a good old time, dance around with the mariachi band. You know, it's a great time. Max Fit Sports Nutrition. After a day at El Rodeo Tequila, I have to go see Jason at Max Fit Sports Nutrition. You want to look better. You want to feel better. You want to get bigger, stronger, faster. You need to go see Jason. If you've got an athlete in this area trying to do big things at the high school level, get them out to Max Fit. Jason is so knowledgeable about all the products there. They have wonderful staff. You can try the products before you buy them. That is huge when we're talking about things like this. Max Fit Sports Nutrition right there in Pier Park North next to Dick's Sporting Goods. Thanks again to Newbies for sponsoring our FSU update. Great stuff there, Tommy. Appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to talk Alabama with Jeremy Pridgeon, and we've got a caller on the line that we will talk to as well right here on the James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest Florida.
104.3 ESPN is above the rim. Exciting college basketball is back. Tune in every Saturday for the biggest games in college basketball, plus marquee evening matchups during the week. The Round Ball.
And it goes for the win!
You want it, you need it, and we've got it. College basketball plays here. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good Thursday morning. I'm forecasting showers and a few thunderstorms today and tonight. A weather front coming in and stalling. Temperatures in the mid-70s during the day, mid to upper 60s at night. It'll be around 70 Friday with more cloud showers and thunderstorms and some leftover showers on Saturday. We'll keep you updated. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DN Mariana, WVLQ Port St. Joe, powered by Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Turf Pro Lawn and Pest Control. They take pride in caring for their customers' property by providing lawn and whole house pest control. Whether you have roaches or any other unwanted bugs in your home, Turf Pro has you covered. Or if your lawn needs weed control, fertilize, insect control, Turf Pro has you covered by providing custom treatments to meet your property's needs. No property is the same, so why should it be treated that way? Turf Pro, where the blue and yellow trucks make your lawn green. Call 850-890-5820.
Put down your natural light. It's time for the Alabama Update. The Alabama Update, weekday mornings at 8. On the Coach James Hale Show in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Roll! Tommy's thinking about it. Tide, roll. All right. Man, somebody clipped that. Tommy Santamont joined in on a Roll Tide Alabama update here on the Coach James Hale Show, brought to you every day by Steverson Air Conditioning. Steverson Air Conditioning, I tell you what, we need them again. It's starting to heat up. Pollen out isn't the only thing going on. It's getting warm outside. We need that AC. Yeah. Yeah, we had about, 12 hours in winter?
Yeah.
That was good.
It's coming again, though. Don't worry.
Well, I tell you what, Jeremy, before we get going on the Alabama update, of course, we do take your phone calls here on the Coach James Hale Show. If you want to give us a call, you can do so at 215-6290. That's 215-6290, and we have a caller who has done just that. Rob, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, guys. Go Knowles.
Do we have Rob?
Yeah. You there? Hello.
I don't hear Rob. Rob, you there? professional radio here, folks. Well, we're going to try. Oh, there he is. Hey, Rob. What's going on, brother?
Y'all are it. I guess I was in a dead zone on the bridge.
Yeah, no worries.
But anyway, I was calling in. Buster Posey jersey retirement is March 11th.
March 11th. Okay.
Saturday at like 3 o'clock. It's going to be prior to the game. So anyway, it's J.D. Drew, Dick Hauser, Mike Martin Sr., and now will be J.D. Drew. So he'll be the fourth jersey to be retired.
That's outstanding.
But back to some of the basketball stuff. FSU is so young and everything. I watched it, well, as much as I could possibly watch because it really gets bad. But they were down by 11 points, and they went on a 13 to nothing run. But when you're down by 13 and you get a 13 to nothing run, you're only up by 2, you know. And then that was about midway through the first half. And then they went on, I think Syracuse scored a basket, and then they went on another 7 to nothing run. So, you know, and they got up by 10 at one point early, and that was like 5 minutes left in the half. And then by the time it got, you know, then they just kind of traded baskets on into halftime. But then when they came back out after halftime, I guess Syracuse went into the defense, but they were being able to work the ball inside and shoot, you know, work it to the basket. And then all of a sudden, it just got to where they could hit anything. And then once Syracuse took the lead, you could just see the air go out of FSU's balloon. And they just said, oh, here we go again. And they end up losing by 10. And they've lost a lot of games this year like that, where they give out, but they're all young. You know, they've got, I would say, 3 of their real starters are out for the rest of the year with injuries.
Right.
So, you know, Coach Ham has done an excellent job, and you're right. He's never really, the one time that everybody really thought that they were going to make a run for the national championship, they were at the conference championship, you know, conference starting, and they ended the season. And they were on the court to play. And they were number 1 seed, won the conference and everything, and then, you know, that kind of blew that chance for them. But, you know, anyway.
Good
just
deal.
on a note, you know, but I would assume that Coach Ham's probably, like you said, he's not, you know, not far down the road from retiring.
Sure.
Because he's been there a long time, getting up in age. And he's got a great assistant. That assistant that he's got been with him since he was in Miami.
Good deal, brother. Well,
anyway,
just
right,
real
guys.
quick, who you got winning the Super Bowl?
Well, I hate to say it, but you know, everybody. I'm gonna pull for the Eagles because the kid from Bay High School lets, you know. So that's who I'm pulling for. I'd like to see them win it.
Good deal. Appreciate you.
Because I don't want to see any more of the State Farm commercials.
I don't know. I like the one where he draws on their face. That one's pretty funny. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Y'all have a good day. Talk to you later.
Appreciate
Bye.
you. All right, great call there. All right, Jeremy.
A
The basketball school that is Alabama. Oh,
Yes.
let's go.
Well, no, we covered the absolute shellacking they put on the Gators last night, and that was an impressive showing, start to finish. You know, I think back to the number of years where we were wondering if Alabama would get to 20 wins, or how much dancing we could, you know, have on the bubble, you know, before it would burst and we would get the number 1 seed in the NIT. Not this year.
Yeah,
you know, not this year. So at 21-3, they're well past that mark. But it is an intriguing next couple of ball games. Auburn and Tennessee back to back. Tennessee lost last night to Vanderbilt. In-state rival upset them. And, of course, we got the Iron Bowl of basketball on Saturday over at Auburn, one of the most difficult places to play. So it'll be a really good test for this ball club, and that environment's just going to be raucous. The quick start is something that's kind of emerged in the last couple of games where teams have almost been put away early. And I don't think that's going to happen, but I do hope that they come in and play loose and just expect to have a great environment, great ball game. The ticket prices on the secondary market are rivaling that of a football game, you know, because that arena is so small, so there's so few getting in there, so there's a premium about that as well. So Iron Bowl of basketball this Saturday. The early tip is interesting to me. I don't know who that favors. You know, when Alabama went out to Norman, that was an early game, played flat, didn't show. So I'd love to have seen this, prime time 7, something like that. But
the one good thing about the early game, the students may not be quite as raucous as they would be at night.
Exactly.
We'll leave it at that.
yeah, exactly. So be fun to watch and be a good showing for the state of Alabama in basketball. Both schools doing great. In other news out of Tuscaloosa, the coordinator searches are over.
Yes, they are.
Tommy Reese coming from Notre Dame. If you have been in the run the ball camp, I think you like the hire.
That's right.
And I do expect, in this situation now where a team may play 15 ball games in a year, you've got to be able to persevere.
Right.
You got to persist. You're going to deal with injuries, and if games are taking 3.5 hours and you're running 100 plays, the cumulative effect of that is going to wear and tear, and it does. We see that. The teams that take the field 1st August are not the teams that are finishing the year, not only for the transfer portal and those matters, but just for injuries, and they pile up. So I look for Alabama to shift with him and grind out some games, and you may see a little more of the high 20s, early 30s type of scoring.
Yeah.
And Kevin Steele coming in on the other side of the ball, I think, is meant to increase the physicality that was clearly lacking in the past couple of campaigns under Golding. So this may be kind of turning the dials a little bit. It won't be an abandonment to, I've heard joyless murder ball is, but no, that's not happening. Modern football's here.
Yeah.
But I do think if you can reduce the number of plays, 15, 20 plays a game, over 10, 12 games, you've reduced a ball game.
Agree.
If you can get 3 and outs and milk clock and time of possession, so some of that will be back. But I really think this is more of how do I take the top off of a defense by grinding it out instead of what we saw with Bryce Young and Bill O'Brien, where we were really depending on hitting a big play in order to move the ball downfield. So I trust Saban in the process. I know there's some, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I saw one tweet said he could have hired Lane Kiffin as the OC and Kirby as the DC, and there'd still be complaints.
So, fair enough. Yeah. So, what I found interesting, and look, I didn't love Bill O'Brien, but he was a bit of a consequence of a lot of great imagination in the 4 that preceded him. I mean, Lane Kiffin completely changed the way that they do things. Brian Daboll's showing what a great offensive mind he is, quarterback developer. Mike Locksley never got the plaudits he deserved, and Sarkisian has the most imagination of any offensive coordinator I've ever seen. Billo still had production, though. I mean, they were still, top 7, top 8 production. Defense, not so much, but my bigger issue, and I've said this before, was when we lost Cochran. I don't think the strength up front has been near the same since.
That may be the secret sauce in this.
Right.
The number of broken tackles, missed tackles, that points to.
The other thing that I found interesting, I read this story, I'm sure you saw the same thing. They went through Saban's defensive coordinators since Kevin Steele got replaced by Kirby in 2008. They've all been in their 30s, or I think Jeremy Pruitt was like 41. Young, pliable. This is Nick Saban's defense, a guy to kind of run Nick's show. Kevin Steele, you wouldn't think is that, but they know each other so well. He's been there so long. Do we expect that again? Or is this Nick maybe finally turning over the reins to somebody on the defense?
Some of both.
Yeah.
The familiarity will allow for a jump start. I also think with the portal being what it is, an immediate impact, the idea that you bring somebody in and you develop them over time is done.
Yes,
true. Now you're bringing them in and you've got to jump start them so they're on the field ready to go. So I think you get the best of both worlds here with Steele. He knows Saban's mindset. He knows the system. Saban's comfortable with him, and I think it accelerates the ability of coming out of the spring to have a group ready to handle the complexity of the scheme on the field. So I think you're hitting on key points there for both of them.
All right, to put you guys on the spot, as if this question is legitimate, I'll do it anyway. Which hire do you like better, Reese or Steele? Tommy?
I don't know much about Deese other than I knew he was at Notre Dame. He did call some good games because I wasn't too impressed with Notre Dame, but I think he helped they help their system. But Kevin Steele, I know he was at FSU for a while, and I've always liked him as a coach, and I think he's got a tougher job because the physicality, like you said, it was lacking a little bit last year. So how is he going to fit in? Is he going to get it back like it needs to be?
Right.
And D's, is he going to run the ball more? They're going to pass the ball. I mean, that's up to, we don't know that yet.
Sure.
But and what effect does that have on future recruits if all they're going to do is run the ball and not pass it? Is that going to affect? But anyway, I like Kevin Steele. That'd be my answer.
Jeremy.
After all that happened on the Plains last year, I like the Steele hire in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
So, he was the one that was desired, and now to see him not in the orange and blue, but in the crimson and white, I think it just adds a little more sauce to that rivalry.
Payback for Bill Oliver. That's what it is. I've been waiting on that for 20 years. Well, good deal. I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the Reese hire. I think we're going to enjoy that a good bit.
That is a surprise.
Yeah. Well, let's get to a break real quick, and I think we've got a caller when we come back. So I want to thank Steverson Air Conditioning again for sponsoring the Alabama Update every single day. Steverson Air Conditioning, look, if you're having issues with your air conditioner, get them to come out. They will check it out. They will get it working right for you. Or you might end up just getting a brand new unit. It's the only thing you can get in life that will pay for itself. Steverson Air Conditioning, number one. When we get back, we're going to take your phone calls. We're going to talk Auburn football. The Auburn Update, sponsored by Bay Point Golf, and that's right here on the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your exclusive radio home for Super Bowl 57.
You gotta fight!
Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
This Sunday.
Got one more.
Listen to Super Bowl 57 in a rich audio experience you can only get on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Coverage starts at 1, kickoff 5:30 p.m.
Super Bowl 57 is sponsored by Dave & Buster's, Panama City Toyota, Instant Replay Sports Cards, and ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good Thursday morning. I'm forecasting showers and a few thunderstorms today and tonight. A weather front coming in and stalling. Temperatures in the mid-70s during the day, mid to upper 60s at night. You'll be around 70 Friday with more cloud showers and thunderstorms and some leftover showers on Saturday. We'll keep you updated. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
It's a new year to dream big and drive bigger in an SUV from Bill Bird Kia. Take the first step toward your next adventure and stop by Bill Bird Kia today. You'll find the perfect match in an SUV from Bill Bird Kia, now offering 3.25% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us anytime at 2435 East 15th Street, and also online at BillBirdKia.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento with $22.22 per month per $1,000 financed at 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 2/28/23.
Tiger fans, join us weekday mornings at 8:15. It's the Bay Point Golf Auburn Update on the Coach James Hale Show in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Whoa! Eagle! Hey! Auburn Update, because I can't remember all the Auburn fans' names, brought to you by Bay Point Golf. You're going to play golf in this area. Jeremy, where are you going?
Bay Point.
Bay Point Golf. And afterwards, you can head over to Bar 72. Have a great time. But, Ryan, you got to get our bingo back. I'm calling you out. Talk about it tomorrow, but you need to get bingo back. I'll tell you what. Well, we're going to get into Auburn here in just a minute, but we've got another caller on the line. Is this Mike, Coach Mike?
It is Dr. Coach Mike.
Dr. Coach Mike.
Yeah, well, that's true. I do have a doctorate, but I haven't used it very well. But like maybe some of y'all. But I want to hit. First off, kudos to Auburn, and Bruce Pearl's a magnificent coach. And by the way, if you haven't listened to Sonny Smith, which you can hear him on your airwaves, he's a great analyst. And Andy, they do a great job with it. And I'm not even an Auburn fan. But I got a question about Auburn. Are they still playing at Eaves, or did they get a new arena?
They have a new arena. They built it a few years back. Beard Eaves is still there, but they use it for mostly school-related functions and different things on campus. But, yeah, it's right there. It's just kind of across the within a couple hundred yards of Beard Eaves. But, yeah, beautiful new arena.
I went to Alabama State high school tournament there back when I don't know. I've been in Tennessee for 2.5 decades, but they had the 2, the 4, and the 6A there that day, and ironically, Tuscaloosa played Auburn for the 6A championship, and it was kind of an interesting situation. But Eads was a great coach. When I was in high school, we ran his motion offense. I still think it's a great man-on-man offense, the shuffle, Auburn shuffle. But Auburn's a great school. Bama's doing fine. I think Coach Saban, going back to your last segment, I think he's decided to play well, let me put it this way. Fresh from a hockey movie. Remember Slap Shot?
We lose Mike? He was cutting in and out on us there. Did we lose him? All right. Mike, are you there? Can you hear us? All right, we'll try and get Mike back on the line here. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Maybe he hit that spot on the bridge that Rob was talking about. Well, we're going to get Mike back in just a minute, but let's talk real quick about Auburn. Jamarian Burnett. He is one of Auburn's key targets in recruiting for the 2024 class. He is the number 1 ranked running back in Alabama, 4-star, 6'1", 210 pounds. He's a load. 131st nationally, number 10 running back nationally. And Auburn has just signed the number 1 running back in Alabama here in this 2023 slate with Jeremiah Cobb, looking to go back-to-back with Jamarian Burnett. Now, he was actually on the field, what Mike was talking about. They had all of the football championships at Auburn this year, and his Andalusia team won the state championship. Unfortunately for Burnett, he had to miss the championship game due to being in the concussion protocol from the week before. But he was there on the field, got to see that AU, had a big moment. So a lot of people really hoping and praying that Jamarian Burnett ends up at Auburn, giving them back-to-back top running backs in the state. That'd be quite the coup over the University of Alabama, because you always want to lock down your in-state guys. So good luck to Coach Freeze there. Obviously, Burnett's got a ton of offers on the board. Now, Auburn came up a little bit short on Tuesday against Texas A&M in a game I really thought they needed to win, because the schedule gets brutal here for Auburn. They've got Alabama twice still. They've got Tennessee. I think they have Kentucky. I mean, it's a rough run-in for Bruce Pearl's group. Now, they're still in good shape. I mean, a lot of people think this hasn't been the year they've wanted. If the SEC tournament started today, they'd still be the 4 seed. So they're not in real bad shape, but 7-4 is not what you come to expect, especially with a couple key players like Wendell Green, Katie Johnson, guys coming back. But this weekend, as Jeremy alluded to in the last segment, is going to be a big one. Auburn welcomes Alabama in early tip, but College game day is going to be there on campus as well. And the students are going to be camped out overnight. There was some great pictures of Bruce Pearl coming through the tent village there, bringing pizzas and things. I mean, it was a really, really cool thing. So Auburn really needs, that would be a huge statement win for Auburn, don't you think, Jeremy?
Absolutely, yeah. Auburn, has been consistent. They've got a great ball team. They're able to make a run. Basketball, as who peaks at the right time?
Sure.
And that's one of the concerns I have for Alabama. I mean, how long can you maintain that intensity with what they're doing? Tigers are very much a contender in this to make a deep run. So going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, and, to the point you were talking about earlier, what a raucous environment it is. It absolutely is. one thing I saw in the game Tuesday, and it worries me a little bit. Look, it's neat when the player or the fans are right on top of you, and it's loud and it's raucous. But we've all seen at every level, high school, Pop Warner football, all the way down. The closer you get the fans to the players, the more incidents occur. They have a lot of them in the NBA. And Bruce Pearl was seen kind of jawing with some fans leaving the arena Tuesday night at A&M. Now, you got to understand, with a camera in everybody's hand now, there's no way anything doesn't get shown, and it's not a good look. That being said, these guys are right on top of you saying the foulest things in the world you can imagine. Do we maybe need to rethink this just a little bit, or do we like it? It's a hard one for me. I don't really know, because there's going to be an issue that really spells out. The old Malice at the Palace in the NBA years ago. I'm a little worried about this.
In basketball, the officials are going to play a big part in that game.
Yeah.
Are they going to call it tight? Are they going to let them play? If they let them, I think it'll be a little bit of both, but that's when you get inconsistency, and that's what makes the fans go wild when they don't agree with the call on the officials. But if they let them play, it's gonna be a football game in a basketball court.
and I really think of all the sports, basketball is the toughest to officiate.
No doubt about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's fast. It's emotional. I have to tell you this story. When I was at Mississippi State, I worked with a TV crew with all the sports things, and so one of my things I had to do, and we were good then. We went to the Final Four one year I was there. One of the things I had to do were the press conferences. I would shoot the low angle stuff, but some games I didn't have to do anything until the press conference after the game. Well, one such game, it was when Hobbs was at Alabama, and I was not a big fan of Hobbs, and so that game I didn't have to work, and we got seats 2 rows behind the Alabama bench.
Oh boy!
And I let him have it a bit. And he looked at me a few times, and then we got into that press conference, and I'm setting up the main camera in the back, and he looks at me and stares daggers, and I looked at my buddy with one of the Jackson stations. I said, well, I'm getting fired. But to his credit, he didn't. He just kind of looked at me to let me know I know who you are. And, I obviously I apologized to my boss about it. I don't think he wanted to hear from me, but I still remember that to this day. I'm like, what was I thinking doing that? But again, we were right behind him, and I was not polite.
You just some of that radical hospitality.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to make you're at the hump now. And what's amazing, and we've talked about this in football, Mississippi State and Alabama are the 2 closest universities in the SEC as the crow flies. They're
82 miles.
Yeah, 82 miles, down 82. Passing Gordo and Reform, I know the drive well, and it's a big, big deal. Any sport rivalry between those 2 schools.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And when you start looking at like the future of SEC play, they're coming out with some of these pods, and you can't separate Alabama and Mississippi State. And I know there'll be some folks going, no, that's just an easy W for Alabama, and Alabama's historically dominated the football side of this. However, they are 82 miles apart. And if you're talking about fan bases showing up and being intense, you got to link those 2 together.
Absolutely.
Will the Auburn Alabama game be on TV?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it will.
I wonder where it's going to be.
I would imagine ESPN's got it.
ESPN's picking it up.
But again, early tip, you can listen to that game right here. What you do is you watch it on the TV and you listen to Andy Burcham call it right here and I love that Sonny Smith is with him because. Let me tell you something. If you ever wanted, I don't know that we could print this or show it on regular television. If you got stories from those SEC basketball coaches in the 80s, those guys lived life. And good for Sonny Smith still being around because some of those guys lived pretty hard. You think of the Ed Murphys and the Wimp Sandersons and the Don DeVoes and Joe B. Hall and Dale Brown. Those were some characters back in those days, and it was certainly interesting. But hey, that's going to be a huge game. Good luck to Auburn, and again, you can listen to Andy Burcham, the voice of the Auburn Tigers, call that game right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Thanks again to Bay Point Golf, Ryan Mulvey, for sponsoring the Auburn Update as they do every day. Also, don't forget about J. Michael's Restaurant. Get out there and see him today. Jambalaya, special today. Need to get out there to J. Michael's, have yourself a wonderful time. Blue Sky Express Car Wash, get that pollen off of your vehicle, get it out of my nasal cavity. I might just walk through the car wash there and get it all fixed. But you need to get to Blue Sky Express Car Wash. They're on Back Beach Road next to Arnold High School. And Dr. Chad Mitchell, you're dealing with any kind of injury, make sure you see Doc. He's been helping the athletes of this area for well over 20 years. He is the absolute best. Dr. Chad Mitchell, we get back, taking your phone calls, going to talk more college football, going to talk Super Bowl right here on the Coach James Hale Show. That's ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for Mike Greenberg.
LeBron is also, among other things, the NBA's all-time leading scorer, the NBA's all-time leading playoff scorer. He's the only player to win Finals MVP with 3 different teams. Made 8 consecutive Finals appearances. So LeBron James' resume is complete. If you wanted to say, I nominate this person to be the most accomplished player in the history of the game of basketball, you could defend it.
Greeny. Weekdays 2 to 4 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Golf Plus is your premier golf shop on the Gulf Coast. Not a big box or a chain store, but a local store with golf experts to serve you. An amazing array of demo and fitting products, plus a professional repair shop that can handle anything from a basic re-grip to a full set of re-shafts and everything in between. Golf Plus has locations in Dothan and Panama City Beach to serve you. Come see them today for all your golf needs. Located next to Firefly at the shops at Edgewater. Call 850-249-2726.
Sometimes having a reservation really makes your whole experience better. It's so nice to know you'll get what you like. And if you need help, it's right here. Just like at Panama City Toyota, where you can reserve your new vehicle online in about 5 minutes. Pick your model, color, and preferred options, and we'll get to work finding your best match. Thank you so much.
Of course, we're always here to help.
Reserve your new Toyota online at Panama City Toyota.
If aliens showed up tomorrow and said, take us to your leader, you'd bring them to the Coach James Hale Show.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Live from the J. Michael Studio on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Who are you? It's a good tune right here. Tommy used to jam out to this, driving his Firebird down the highway.
Motorcycle.
There you go. Well, look, don't forget, ESPN Northwest Florida is where you can listen to the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 57. This Sunday, coverage starts at 1 p.m. because we need a 4.5-hour pregame for the Super Bowl. Kick is at 5:30, but you can listen to absolutely everything right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. It's going to be a good one. I'm telling you what. Do we have a call? All right, Mike, are you back with us?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
We got you, brother.
Well, I woke up in a Soho doorway with a policeman in my face. He said, you can sleep at home tonight if you can get up and walk away. I hope you don't have to pay BMI for the rest of the lyrics there. I put in. I was talking about Auburn basketball, and I really kind of work around the Leonard Hamilton, and a nice guy, UT Martin connections that are dear to me. And the thing is, you can't fire a coach just because he's old. Boeheim's 78. Calipari's probably jumped the shark at 67. And but you just got to go to him and say, hey, maybe time to go. I'm not saying that's the case for Coach Hamilton now. Vanderbilt let go of Kevin Stallings because he had underachieved a little bit, and they've never made it back to his level yet.
That's right.
Yeah. But I got to tell you a quick story, if you'll let me, about Army. playing against unruly anti-war fans during the Vietnam era.
Go for it.
Well, they had a coach named, he'd gone to Ohio State, played on national championship team as a sub, named Robert Knight. And he had a guy that helped him out and getting out of visiting gymnasium, sat on the end of the bench. This came straight from Coach Knight at a dinner I attended, fortunately, before he, became kind of incapacitated. But he had this big old Army line coach. I think he coached both offense and defense. And they got into trouble one night. He told a story. He said that Army line coach just bulled through a bunch of troublemaking students from the other school. He didn't call the name of the school, but the guy's name was Bill Parcells.
Wow.
So there's your Super Bowl connection. And, yeah, he used to travel with the Army basketball team just because he liked Coach Knight, I think. But it's a small community of coaches. But be careful what you wish for. We talk about them because they make so much money. But, for every Buzz Peterson you need to get rid of, you may let somebody go you don't need to.
That's right.
Y'all have a good one now. I'm pulling for Auburn Saturday. It makes a difference.
There you go.
Bye now.
Appreciate you. Mike. Hey, where else are you going to find a caller down here that can quote Roger Daltrey to you in the morning on the spot? I love it. Appreciate the call, Mike. Had some great callers this morning. If you want to give us a call, you can do so on our hotline. It's a hotline, 215-6290, 215-6290. Well, let's pivot over. I want to save the Super Bowl for the last segment. Let's pivot over to a couple of things. Jeremy, I know you and I were kind of looking at this. Maybe ESPN put out a thing, kind of some of the games we're most excited for in 2023. And they go into some other things, but let's get through them. All of their writers had their own pick. And the one right out of the bat, you mentioned early, Colorado at TCU on September the 2nd. That's going to be a big one to tell us. Number one, TCU got in a lot of new players. Are they going to build off of last year, or is Colorado going to be Cinderella?
That's a good one to watch. I think TCU probably gets it done, but if you're Colorado, this is the game you want. These kids are focused through summer workouts. They're excited, and they can shock the world. So it's a much greater liability for TCU. So like that one. We've got the Battle of the Carolinas this year. North Carolina and South Carolina playing in Charlotte. South Carolina, sneaky end of the year. They hit their stride. So,
but surprisingly, they had a lot of players leave.
Yeah,
which shocked me a little bit because they did have such a good run.
Yeah, so we'll see what Beamer does there. But that's a great non-conference matchup. They used to be old Southern Conference members, and then we're in the ACC, and so to get these two back together with the little border war has to be fun if you live up in that part of the country. So speaking of border wars, the Backyard Brawl is on West Virginia at Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be fun.
That's a big game.
And I know West Virginia pits the other,
sure.
But Penn State, West Virginia, they have not played since the Nittany Lions went to the Big Ten, but it's the third longest series for Penn State. They played behind Pitt. They played Pitt 100 times, Syracuse 71 times. This will be the 60th meeting between the two. So, you mentioned one, Miami at Miami.
Yeah. Miami of Ohio gets to go down to South Beach, though, and that's right out of the gate, September 1st. That's one of those matchups that needs to happen.
Just
Miami
because,
at Miami.
Yeah, the two Bowling Greens. Yeah, I mean, just match them up here. So I know Tommy's interested in the one in Orlando. We talked about that one. That's huge, week one.
Well, here's the thing with that game. So I think it's as big a game as there is. There's a couple SEC games that are huge, and then obviously Ohio State Michigan is going to be a gigantic game again, I think. But as big a game as it is, and it propels both whoever wins that game forward the way it did last year with FSU, it's early enough that either team can survive losing that game.
Sure.
That's right.
Does that take a little luster off of it, or is it still just a big contest?
I mean, I think it's going to be whoever wins that game is going to be, like you say, they're going to be in the talk to do great things.
It's a liability because if either team picks up a second loss, then you're in trouble. So right. you seem to get one, in this environment of a 4-team, but not 2. I'm a little nervous about the Longhorns trip to Tuscaloosa week 2.
Sure.
And that was a great game out in Austin last year. First time in 100 years they will have played in Tuscaloosa, which is crazy to think. And now they're going to start playing, much more frequently. But Texas and Sarkeesian could come in there, win that one. A&M makes the return trip to Miami. Speaking of Miami, we talked about them, but interesting non-conference. So other games, and you and I were talking off the break, these are not necessarily games that factor into the playoff.
Right.
There's just a handful of teams that we know are vying for 4 spots. There
right.
might be somebody like a TCU show up, but the chances of that, slim and none based on what we've seen. But these are just the intriguing matchups of college football, if you like college football.
Sure.
Ole Miss at Tulane.
Yeah.
That one's this year. That's an old Southern Conference rival. And, so
Tulane playing great last year. Now, their defensive coordinator, according to sources, is going to be heading down to Miami to become the DC, replacing Kevin Steele there. But Tulane had a heck of a year and then really shocked a lot of people coming back late on USC in the bowl game.
Right.
That's a big deal.
5 years ago, you see this game and go, okay, Ole Miss just wanted to go down to New Orleans for the weekend. No, this is a ball game.
Yeah.
It really is going to be a great ball game, and it's at Tulane, which is even more intriguing to get the Power 5 school traveling to the non-Power 5 school for a ball game. Up north, Ohio State at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 programs that have historically kind of ducked each other for obvious reasons and, bitterness there. But
Notre Dame gave them everything they wanted this past year, too, and it surprised a lot of people.
They sure did.
And then didn't give much the next couple of games.
LSU not only has FSU on the schedule, but Army comes to Baton Rouge this year.
Tough team to play.
It's a tough team to play. Yeah, ask Oklahoma. They were within an eyelash a few years ago of losing to Army there. So that's an interesting non-conference matchup with all the pageantry that surrounds the Army team when they come in. There are just some great matchups that I think we all clamor for the non-conference games that give us some of the variety that match the conferences up where people have those discussions, or and obviously you can get these in other sports because you play more games, but the way football's structured, you don't get these opportunities very often. So those are just some of them that I think really are intriguing, and I'll make a point to watch just because of the spectacle of it.
Right. You know what's going to be, I was thinking about this earlier. I'm going to watch more Pac-12 this year than I probably ever do normally, because it's not just one team like Oregon, or it's not just a Utah, or even it's not just USC. UCLA has gotten better. Washington is a lot of people's kind of sleeper team out there. Oregon State was playing great football at the end of the year last year. Arizona and Arizona State struggling a good bit, and Stanford, of course.
Yeah.
Finally moving on from David Shaw, but there's some good football, I think, in the Pac-12. It's not SEC football, but I'll probably watch more Pac-12 this year than I have in the past.
Speaking of Pac-12, we've got a great culture clash. Auburn at Cal.
Yeah, I'd say that's about as diametrically opposed ideologically as you're going to find.
2 worlds colliding.
In the ACC, the 4th game, FSU is going to Clemson.
Yeah, early.
That'll be a monster game for FSU and Clemson both, especially for the ACC championship game. Who's going to get in, who's not. So that'll be a big game.
Speaking of Pac-12, Florida at Utah.
Yeah,
they make the return trip this year. That was a
tough
great
place to play.
Is that their first game?
I think it's for opening weekend. Just like it was down in Gainesville week 1. So a couple of these SEC Pac-12 matchups that we all love, but they have not gone well historically for the SEC team when the SEC team goes west.
Right.
I'm not sure why that is, but
it's true.
We've seen a number of programs go out west and come home.
Well,
unhappy.
I was out there in 2000 when Alabama played UCLA in the Rose Bowl, And, that was the year, coming off of the year where they lost to Michigan in overtime at the Orange Bowl.
Well, Freddie Millins hits the big return.
He ran it right at us. We were 12 rows up at the end zone, and I've got my arms spread. National champs! It's ordained, and then UCLA just hammered us.
The headline the next day in the LA Times was Riptide on the West Coast.
I have to tell you this. Of course, you've been out there. You actually tailgate on a golf course.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, and it's beautiful. But I look, this is going to sound like one of our commercials we do, but this is the honest truth. I'm looking, and the mountains all surround us. It is gorgeous out there in Pasadena.
A lot like Legion Field, right?
Sure. when you're not dodging bullets. Yeah. So, but I looked, and I started laughing. And everybody said, "What are you laughing at?" And I just pointed. And I'm not kidding you, Jeremy, Tommy. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. I looked, there was one double-wide trailer on the mountainside, and it had a giant roll tide back. You couldn't draw that up any better. It was perfect.
Oh, man. Now, does Alabama and Texas A&M play this year?
They do.
At Texas A&M. That'll be a game.
Yes.
Interesting game.
At College Station. Alabama's road games are very, very favorable for Alabama this year, but they do go to College Station.
Will the marriage still be going by that game? That Petrino and Jimbo thing is one of the things I'm looking most forward to this year. So, all right. Well, I tell you what else I'm looking forward to, and that is our next segment. Let me run through real quick. I want to thank all of our sponsors on this show who make it possible. Rudy's, South Oak Title and Closing, Dr. John Ward, Paparazzi Gourmet Deli, of course, the fine folks at Buffalo Rock, Turf Pro Pest Control, El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, Max Fit Sports Nutrition, Newbies, Steverson Air Conditioning, and Bay Point Golf. When we get back, we can take your phone calls again at 215-6290, but we're going to close down the shop today, maybe talking Super Bowl, get some picks for you guys to take to Vegas right here on the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Jim Boeheim is the old man that needs to get out of the way. I mean, is this guy a loser or what? Have you heard about what he's done? He went after everyone. He basically accused 3 ACC schools of buying players. This is from the coach at Syracuse. Carmelo Anthony, hello, pick up on line 1.
Paul Feinbaum, weeknights, 6 to 10 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good Thursday morning. I'm forecasting showers and a few thunderstorms today and tonight. A weather front coming in and stalling. Temperatures in the mid-70s during the day, mid to upper 60s at night. You'll be around 70 Friday with more cloud showers and thunderstorms and some leftover showers on Saturday. We'll keep you updated. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Mid-South Lumber, where they treat you like family. Locally owned and serving the residents of Bay County for over 45 years. See Mid-South Lumber for all of your DIY projects, including windows, doors, siding, lumber, and millwork. Are you building a new home? Bring your contractor into Mid-South Lumber and meet with a member of their sales team to discuss your framing, siding, windows, and doors. Mid-South Lumber, the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City.
Earthworks of Northwest Florida knows it's a perfect time for you to update your home. Whether it's routine touch-ups or a new look, Earthworks has just what you need. Sand, stone, mulch, and gravel, pickup or delivery. Visit earthworks.com and request a quote. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Love the land you live on. Earthworks of Northwest Florida, 2005 Industrial Drive.
Do you know who I am?
If he was the last person on Earth,
I'm kind of a big deal.
mankind would still have a chance.
We may have to repopulate the Earth.
Now back to the Coach James Hale Show.
I'm very important.
Live from the J. Michael Studio at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey! Hey! That's a great song sung by a very deplorable human being, so we'll move on from that. Coach James Hale Show, back at you. Google it, folks. On a Thursday, Brian Haddad sitting in for Coach. Coach, we're thinking about you. Attended some family matters, but going to be okay, and look forward to having you back next week. Jeremy and Tommy sitting in. Big John spinning the tunes as always. Appreciate all of you listeners, all of our callers today. Well, guys, let's get into it. The big game, again, right here on ESPN Radio. You can listen to the pregame. You can listen to the game. Kick is at 5:30. Pregame starts at 1 p.m. right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Eagles, Chiefs, Jalen, Patty. What do we like, guys?
I don't know. I think Mahomes, he had a high ankle sprains, and they said he's better than what he was in that conference game. But
Sure.
He's a heck of a quarterback. I'm pulling for Philadelphia because they have some FSU players on there. I guess that's one of the reasons. But
certainly, our Janoris, our local guy. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's going to be. This is going to probably be one of the better Super Bowl games we've had. Other than that one that was that interception on the 1 yard line.
Oh yeah,
Atlanta.
Yeah, Seattle loves that one. Run the ball, Marshawn. Run the ball. What do you, Jeremy? What are you most kind of looking forward to in that game, matchup wise?
So to me, Jalen Hurts is the X factor in this ball game, and who gets to establish the type of game they're playing.
Right.
That will be key. If Philadelphia can settle them into the grinding type of ball game, then Hurts got them where he wants. If you get a track meet that sort of breaks out, I think it starts to favor Kansas City.
Yeah.
So point totals, possessions early, those things will matter. I expect a lower scoring ball game. I think points are going to be tough to come by.
I do too.
But I also think that favors Philadelphia here.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I've talked a little bit this week and last week about I watched really close to the playoffs. I didn't watch the regular season as much, but I watched really close to the playoffs. Philadelphia is the best team I've seen in the NFL in years at quickly making adjustments. Like a lot of teams are good at making them at halftime. Philadelphia, I saw a couple of times against San Francisco, before the whole Brock Purdy thing really blew up to where they couldn't move.
Right.
It was a stout defense they were playing, number one defense in the league. Nick Bosa made some adjustments, really took RPO moves from Jalen Hurts out of the game. Philadelphia instantly pivoted to a lot of student body left, running right off of left tackle away from Nick Bosa, and had huge success.
Yeah.
Then they would pivot once they bit on that. Boom, they're hitting them over the top. Devontae Smith. So when he held on to the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're really good. It's a well coached team, and it's a coaching staff that makes quick adjustments.
Right.
And I be honest with you guys, I can't find a hole in Philadelphia's game.
No. Which, then you get to the real X factors: turnovers, special teams.
That's it. And we've seen special teams play a big role in Super Bowls before. I mean, I think back, it didn't end up giving them win, but Kenyon Drake's run back years ago was huge to flip that. That was a game that shouldn't have been close, got real close. Yeah, I think that's going to be the key here. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, they're the dynamic offense. Philadelphia is the team without any holes.
Yeah.
So as long as they're coming fun, Jalen Hurts has given me no reason to believe the moment is too big for him.
Nope.
His whole career, he has stood up to the challenge every time. So as long as they don't turn the ball over, and as long as they don't make any special teams blunders, yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I think it's probably Philadelphia in one of the better games that we've had, and I agree. I think it's going to be low scoring. So
we might not get into the 20s. I could see a 17-10 type of action here.
I think
really
so.
Good.
But it'd be nice being out in Arizona. You usually don't have to deal with weather issues out there or anything like that.
However, if you've watched any game played in that stadium, the turf has been a problem.
That's true.
They slip and slide, they fall down, and I know they've got special turf that's been brought into this ball game, but you watch the college football playoff games, you watch the Fiesta Bowl, you watch any game in Glendale, and they can't keep their feet.
Right.
So that's be one aspect to watch.
All right, I'm going to go off memory on some of these because we were talking in the break about the prop bets.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah. Right. Everything's on the line.
Yeah, the prop bets are a lot of fun. So 2 minutes and 5 seconds, over under national anthem. I think it's Chris Stapleton doing it this year.
Oh.
What do we like, guys?
Clearly over. I don't know that we've ever seen an under on the national anthem.
Yeah.
I got in some trouble earlier this week. I said if it was a woman, it'd go over. And I heard about that one. So I'm going to change my pick back to over. Chris Stapleton. Apparently,
Let's just
sing slow. I don't know.
Let's just sing it like it's written. Let's just sing it like it's written.
Will there be a scoring drive that lasts less time than the national anthem?
Probably so.
I don't know in this game.
See, I think so. I think one team's going to get a turnover in the opposing territory. So
yeah,
we'll be like that. Over under 12, jersey number of the player to score the first touchdown.
Oh, God.
Oh, this isn't even getting into weird ones yet.
Oh, wow.
I'll say it'll be over 12. You got more numbers on the other side.
Yeah.
You do. Yeah. I got a feeling it's going to be Jalen Hurts, so I'm going to take the under there. Color of the Gatorade shower. The lime green, yellow, orange is the favorite. Then I think it goes up to, I think blue is the outside choice. So what color will the Gatorade be for the winning team?
Let's go with that lime green there. Yeah, they were selling shirts after Saban got hit with the Gatorade that had the red that year. Showed it stained. Lime green.
They still use orange Gatorade?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with orange.
See, I think so, too, because I think Philadelphia's going to win. If the Chiefs win, maybe they do go red.
Red. Yeah.
Don't think people don't think about that.
Absolutely.
Over under, it's now moved to 51, which is up slightly. It was 50.5. I imagine this will change a little bit, too. So we've talked about it. Jeremy, you and I both like the under. Tommy? Under. Yeah, I agree. And then our winner, not much of a line to have to deal with. 1.5 right now. Philadelphia minus 1.5. Tommy?
I'll go with Philadelphia.
Billy, what's your final score?
I say it's going to be 17-14.
Wow.
Philadelphia.
All right, Jeremy, you're on the spot.
20-16.
20-16. Eagles, I assume.
Eagles.
I'm going to take the Eagles 23-17. But I think it ends with Kansas City mounting a drive and coming up just short.
Just short.
Which will be fun. Well, look, guys, thank you so much for sitting in with me today. Didn't know I was going to be coming in until later yesterday afternoon. Again, Coach, thinking about you. Everything's going to be good. Don't worry, folks, but, some prayers will help and things. Just a family matter you needed to attend to. Coach will be back next week. I think Ryan Mulvey's going to be in here running the ship tomorrow. So appreciate all of our callers. Appreciate you guys who texted in for a chance to win the NASCAR Daytona 500 contest we're running here at ESPN Northwest Florida. Again, guys, make sure you're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs today at 4:45. If you hear your name called, you better be ready. I think 4 seconds is the time to beat.
Ooh, that's hard
but you want to listen to David anyway. You can listen to some Feinbaum tonight. You got basketball this Saturday, Super Bowl Sunday.
Good luck to our local athletes.
Absolutely.
In the postseason.
Good luck, Bay County athletes, no doubt. John, appreciate you as always. Can't believe Mike got all them lyrics right off the bat. Dude's great, but I love it. Tommy, appreciate everything today. And Jeremy,
always
enjoyed it as always. Folks, I promise I'm not going to be back tomorrow. So you can listen to us tomorrow. Coach James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents 500 miles of paint swapping, fender bending, tradition.